Добрый вечер всем. Меня зовут Джошуа Леви. И сегодня я хотел показать наш очень интересный студент. Она почти C2 level английского языка, и она будет объяснить о себе. И потом мы будем разговаривать на английском языке, и она будет объяснить, как она попасть английского языка C2, и как она будет сдать экзамен IELTS. Давайте мы уже начинаем.
Меня зовут Катя, я из Москвы, и сейчас я в процессе подготовки к экзамену IELTS. Я собираюсь поступать в Англию, получать там высшее образование, поэтому сейчас я готовлюсь к экзамену языковому. И в этом видео я буду обсуждать с Джошуа Леви процесс подготовки к экзамену и процесс наших занятий по подготовке.
Excellent. Okay, so now we'll change to English. So thank you very much for this introduction. So I wanted to ask you, like many people have this dream that I want to become a native speaker. I want to reach your level, which is almost at C2 advanced level of English. What did you do differently to many people?
I think many people only rely on lessons that they have in school, and they think that it's going to be enough for them. But I think it's very important to try to learn English outside of school and try to really submerge yourself in media that is in English, like watching TV shows in its original language or reading books. And I think reading books is actually very important. But even watching TV shows will actually improve your English level quite drastically if you do it for a very long time.
When you were in school, like I think you are actually in school at the moment anyway. When you began learning English, how long ago was that?
I actually started learning English from a very early age, because we even had English lessons when I was in kindergarten.
Okay.
But I really started learning English by myself when I was in about 5th grade. It's when I started to go outside of school program and try to do my own research and read books and watch TV shows in the original language.
Many people like yourselves are in school, so I'm sure you are not the only one in your class, and not everybody has reached this level. Many people, when I teach English, they said, "Well, it's too difficult. I don't understand it. I don't have the motivation to do it," and they don't know why they are learning English. What made you so different as opposed to them?
I think I realized that there is a lot outside of Russian media and what is given to us in my country. And I wanted to explore things. For example, watching YouTube videos in their original language. I think that was my first attempts in watching anything in the English language. It was YouTube videos. Because I realized that there is no way I can watch them any other way, because there are no subtitles, there is no voiceover, unlike movies. So that was kind of my first step, because I realized I really want to watch this video because it kind of interests me, but I guess there is no other way for me to watch it except for trying to.
Yeah, but I mean, if you would watch, as you said, like when you were watching YouTube videos, you had no subtitles, you had no help and support. I'm sure, like at in your very first time when you were watching them, you would not be able to understand, or you were not able to understand like a lot of things. Did that not become a problem?
It was pretty hard for me to understand a lot of things at first, but sometimes they had like subtitles in them. So even though they weren't always 100% accurate, it still helped. And then at some point, there was no need for me to watch it with subtitles, because after a while, I started exploring more. And I watched my favorite TV show, which is Friends, in the original language after watching it in Russian. So I understood like the majority of it, but like I kind of understood what they were saying because I've watched it prior to that in Russian language. But I watched it in English then, and even though I knew what they were talking about, I watched it with subtitles. It was a bit hard, but after watching the whole 10 seasons of it, I think my English level improved a lot. And it was hard at first, but then I kind of got used to it. I understood, like, I understood more words, more expressions, because I've heard them a lot during the show. So
Right.
it got easier after a while.
The other question, what a lot of people ask me is like, I have a lot of inquiries on the social media saying that I have a daughter, I have a son. She's, I don't know, 6 years old, 7 years old, and the parents don't themselves speak English. Is that a problem?
I think if this son or daughter has the motivation to speak the English language, it doesn't matter if the parents don't know the language, because the very, very base will be given to them in school, and then they can go on from that
Okay.
by themselves.
How would so I think that brings us to the most important question actually is how do you get the motivation? I mean, at 6 years old, I don't think that you can think for yourself that okay, I need to learn English. So what would you do?
I think you have to find something that you really like and watch. Well, and if it happens to be in English language, that's good. You have to find something that you like. If it might be a book, because there are a lot of child's books that are originally written in English. For example, Harry Potter. It was the first book that I've ever read in English, and it is like a child's book. A lot of children read it at a very young age, and I think reading something that is made for kids, which is in English language, can be a good starting point.
But I'm sure like you
It's a bit more simple. So it's it's more likely that the child will understand it.
right.
And if the child also knows how to use the translator, like Google,
Translator.
that's also very good.
One thing I wanted to ask you. So, I mean, obviously you are 6 years old or 7 years old. You can't go and actually buy the book by yourself. You would have to ask your parents enough. So I think that brings us back to a point. Like, if the parents are not helping you or they don't actually give out the motivation for their son or daughter, I think it'll be like difficult, no, to
Well,
ask for the books and everything, and you can buy because you're 6 years old.
I think we live in it's because we live in 2020. We have the internet, so most children these days know how to use the internet because they've been surrounded by technology from a very young age. So
Okay.
they probably know how to use like Google or Yandex. So if they really want to, they absolutely can Google something. But also, if the parents isn't giving them motivation, well, if the child has the motivation, they will find a way to do anything they want. Because we live in a very convenient age. We can do anything from our phone or computer or laptop or, like iPad.
Sure, absolutely. That brings us back to the next questions. Like, okay, so you were reading books and everything. You're watching a YouTube channel. How many hours in a week, or how many hours in during the day did you learn English?
I think it's hard to say exactly, but considering all the YouTube videos that I watch right now are in English, I think about maybe an hour a day or 45 minutes I watch something in English. If I watch a TV show, which is I don't always watch like a TV show, but if I do, it's always in English because I have Netflix right now, and every TV show there that I watch is in English. So if I watch a TV show, I usually like binge watch it. So I watch multiple episodes in a row. So if I watch a TV show, obviously I spend more time sort of learning the language. I don't always read books in English language, mostly because buying a book, like an actual physical book in English here, is quite expensive. so it's like 5 times cheaper to buy a book that is in Russian. So sadly, I usually read in Russian, but sometimes if I go abroad, I buy books in English there. So I recently was reading Emma by Jane Austen. I'm still like a third way till the ending, but still it's quite interesting, even though it's pretty hard to read because it was written a long time ago and the language is a lot different. But it's hard to estimate how much time I spend in a week. But I think it's
like, I mean, if you just give an average,
I would say it's kind of constant because on the internet I usually am submerged in English social media and bloggers and creators basically. So it's hard to actually say how much I spend time. It's just kind of always.
Now, the other question, what I kind of face every day, almost on an everyday basis, is people asking me, okay, we will pay you XYZ amount of money, and our son or our child, I want to have two or three times per week, I want to have the lessons, but that's it. Do you think do you think that English can only be learned in the lessons or outside lessons, or what opinion do you have on this?
I think only having the lessons isn't enough, even though it actually really helps with some more like technical stuff, especially. But the learner themselves has to find the motivation to learn it themselves, because without that, I don't think it's very helpful. So a teacher can help with grammar or like specifically English terms that like are maybe hard to understand by yourself. But a lot of the work has to be done by the learner themselves, because without that, it's just pointless.
Now, this year has been quite difficult. As we all know, during the pandemic, a lot of people were in lockdown. We are based here back in Moscow. I was not able to go home. You were not able to go to school, and a lot of people were at home during the pandemic. I think for 3-4 months we had the pandemic, like lockdown. I think it began in Russia month of March, I think. I think from March till month of July, if I think it was the first week of July, we had the pandemic. What did you do during this time?
Well, for 2.5 months, I had school, so I still had like online lessons. But then after the restrictions were lifted a bit, so it was in the beginning of June, I just started hanging out with my friends a lot because I haven't seen them in a very long time, because during the quarantine I wasn't really able to go out further than the nearest shop that I have. But during the actual lockdown, I studied a lot because we still had lessons, we still had to learn a lot. But I also watched like a lot of TV shows on Netflix and read a bunch. So there wasn't much else to do during that.
How did you have what actually kept you going as with regards to like learning English? Because many people just like give up during this time and say, sorry, it's too difficult for me, I don't want to do it anymore. What actually kept you alive in during this time, like to learn the language?
Maybe at some point I kind of realized that there is no way to actually give up, because I have reached a certain level already. So there's no point in just stopping, because I'm already in it, like fully in it. And if I just stop learning English, I will lose a lot. When you don't learn, you kind of start forgetting things, and it will be a lot harder to read in English or watch something in English. And it will also stop me from getting into university,
Right.
because I want to study in England. So this kind of like the realization that there is no way to stop right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. Like I don't want to stop.
Okay. Now let's go back to the main topic of the video. It's about the IELTS exam. Before we started the lessons, before you had lessons with me, what was your opinion and what describe your experience with IELTS? Because of this video will be on public, please don't mention names of any people or any other place. But you can describe what was your impression, what went wrong, and how did you do it? What were you thinking about the IELTS exam?
I haven't learned much about the IELTS exam before I started lessons with you. In school we didn't learn anything about it because like our education isn't really focused on international exams. So I didn't know anything from school, but then I found another learning platform online, and I studied there for like 2 months maybe, but I didn't really enjoy it because it was making me learn like by the book and just filling in the blanks in some exercises, which I found wasn't really helpful, and it didn't make me learn anything about the actual exam and any strategies that the exam had. Because, well, honestly, anybody can fill in the blanks, and it doesn't really say anything about your actual level of language.
Yep.
So before, I didn't really know much about the exam, and even on the learning platform that I studied before, I didn't really learn anything about the exam either.
Okay.
Even though the majority of my education there was connected to the exam, for some reason, it didn't help at all.
What is the difference between other people's lesson and when we do lessons with us? Like how we do lessons. Can you describe to our audience how our lessons take place? Like what do we do, and what is different with other people's experience?
Well, at first we just discuss things that might be going on in my life, so I just can talk for a while, and then and it really allows me to like improve my ability to actually speak, like my so it's easier for me to speak right now than it was before, because before I didn't really get the chance to speak anywhere. And after that, we do some exercises that have something to do with a specific part of the exam, like writing or speaking, reading. So basically answering the questions in the form of the exam. So like writing questions or speaking questions. So sometimes I get like unlimited time to prepare. Sometimes I have to work in the time frame that the exam has. And it trains you to either be very fast and work with a time limit, just like in an actual exam, or it can teach you to, if you don't have like a time limit, it teaches you to be very thorough and really choose your words wisely, and like think about your answer. So it actually really helps in like preparing very thoroughly for the different aspects of the exam.
Many people think IELTS is an easy exam. They can just prepare for with a few weeks. They can just do past exam papers and they can pass exam. What is your opinion on this?
Well, I mean, I've been studying for the exam for about 6 months, and I still don't think it's an easy exam. Mostly because you have like time limits, and it's a lot of pressure. So I think that's like the hardest part of the exam is pressure. That if you fail, you lose money. It like goes on your record that you have got like a pretty low score, and also the pressure that it really like your future sort of depends on this exam. The actual questions aren't that hard, but still can be very challenging because it can be anything. You can be asked anything from any side of life. So I don't think it's an easy exam.
In your opinion, how should people really prepare for this exam? I mean, because you will actually do this exam now. So so like any advice you would give to someone or to some people?
I think it's very helpful to study with someone who knows a lot about the exam and who knows some strategies and who really like have a lot of experience with the exam, but also well, self-education. Maybe like reading about it online or again submerging yourself in the English language can also help to really expand your vocabulary, which is very important on the exam to have a very rich vocabulary.
Hmm.
So spending a lot of time preparing is definitely key to success. Because if you want to get a high score, you have to work for it.
Yeah. How did you, or how do you, at the moment anyway, how are you improving your vocabulary?
Well, again, it's like I've always done in the past 4 or 5 years. I read, I watch things like TV shows, like every TV show that I want to watch, I watch it in English. And I actually haven't watched a TV show in Russian in about, well, 5 years.
Hmm.
Which because every TV show usually has a specific theme. It can be like medical or crime, and with that you can learn a lot of different words from specific fields, like again medicine or well,
Hmm.
crime, and like learning things from specific fields really expands your vocabulary because
Sure.
you would never find those words if you were just watching like a news like news on TV.
Hmm.
Those are very hard to find on like daily basis.
Right. And my last question would be, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, what do you want to be in the near future? Don't mention any names or any places. Uh, just want to get your views on this. Like, what do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years?
So in 5 years, I would have already finished my bachelor's degree. So I either might go for a master's degree or start in like a new job in the field that I want to work in, which is design. Um, so I guess we will see which one I pick after I finish my bachelor's
Hmm.
degree. Um, but yeah, in 5 years, I will already have a bachelor's degree and will probably be working somewhere.
Okay. And last but very interesting point I wanted to tell our audience is our lovely student has a design and a talent for making beautiful art things. So you've been like making some stuff with your hands. I think you've ordered something from China. Could you like tell us about that?
I really enjoy, well, art in general, but recently I found a new hobby, which is making jewelry. Um, it can be out of polymer clay or beads or anything like that. Like I find interesting things and I make jewelry out of it, like earrings and necklaces,
Mm-hmm.
mostly earrings and necklaces.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have like a collection of jewelry that I made myself. And I'm
Great.
thinking about maybe starting to make money from it.
Would
But
you would you like to show us if you have some any samples or something, or
uh,
if you have something around, like just like lying around?
yeah, I do. I do have a lot of things.
Well, you can show us some if you want.
Um, so basically, these are a few of my recent creations. So these are
Wow. Okay.
earrings,
Awesome. Uh-huh.
then another ones.
Awesome.
I don't
And
know.
what was your inspiration like to make them?
I draw a lot of inspiration from other creators on Instagram, and then I kind of combine those ideas into my own ideas. So if I see something interesting on Instagram, I save it, and then when I have when I'm in the mood to do something, I open the little folder of stuff that I've saved, and then I look through it, and then I might find some element in some other person's work, and I think, oh, maybe I can combine it into my own thing.
Awesome. Well, we will end our video recording now. I think it's. I think if people have some doubts or they want to ask you something, we will write them on the feedback section below. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope that you will pass your IELTS exam. And thank you for having lessons. And I wish you the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.